Good day, brothers and sisters. And again, you are on Alex Sass Show, the best show on YouTube, the only show on YouTube, as far as I'm concerned, you need to be watching. That's not true. There's plenty of good stuff that you can be watching, but you definitely add us to your subscription. 100% click all the bells and whistles and click all the likes. We need this. With 100% of shadow ban, which brings us to Glenn Herring. Glenn, what's up? How you doing, my friend?
Oh, very good. It's a big show today. A lot of important news to talk about. We're going truth and the consequences of not knowing the truth.
Glenn, do you know that actually you're sort of like a superstar on TikTok? Well, actually, you're an anti-superstar. I posted your video yesterday, and it got banned right away for the hate speech. Or actually, no, I don't know if it was inciting violence against something, blah, blah, blah. I can read this, but I'd rather not. I'm not going to waste my time. If you guys didn't subscribe to our TikTok yet, if you don't follow us on Instagram, you are definitely racist. So, well, I don't know if you're racist or not, but you probably are if you're not subscribing to those things. Because TikTok is Chinese. Do you know that? And that might be the reason why you're banned. So let's out going beating around the bush. Let's watch the video that got removed from the TikTok.
Andrew Tate. He's been in jail now in Romania for 2 months. The Romanian court just voted to keep him in there for another 30 days. So that would be 3 months. And he hasn't even been charged with anything yet. So in other words, the court's saying, you're guilty, but we got to find something to convict you of because we can't find anything yet. So we need more time. What about, you're innocent till proven guilty? This is not democracy. This is not right. This is the erosion of human rights at the individual level.
That's a good example of democracy in the West. One most shining example of what the West is protecting.
He was waking up the people. And the governments don't like when the people wake up. They like them when they walk around with their eyes wide shut and they haven't got a clue about anything. Now we need more people like this to stand up for the individual's rights.
Glenn, why do you think that happened?
I don't know. We're not even near the top yet, on our way up there, and they want to knock us down just for simply telling the truth. So obviously the powers that be doesn't want the truth out there. They're trying to hide it from the Mr. and Mrs. Average.
Well, by the way, that's the video I played from, obviously was from YouTube. So YouTube did not remove us. And before we have banned, our first show that we ever posted was the MK Ultra show. This season, not ever, but the 2022 show that we posted was the MK Ultra interview with Metro Allenstein, the lawyer that sued McGill and CIA and Canadian government for illegally experimenting on Canadian citizens. And that show got removed before it got published. I just uploaded it, and it violated the code of conduct or whatever, the COVID misinformation policy. The only thing I said, which I removed from the video, is that we know that we have the history of the government in other institutions, like accredited institutions like McGill and hospitals and CIA. We have a history of them doing those things like misleading people intentionally or testing drugs and just experimenting on people, period. We have that. That's the thing I've mentioned. And I said, today we have a similar story, and now we're wondering why why people don't wonder the government. I removed that little bit, and I was able to post the video without any, repercussions. Now, the video that we just showed you went on YouTube. I don't know. You didn't mention anything other than what is true. It's the true statement. It's the true fact. Yet alone, the Chinese-owned TikTok, they removed you for this. Well, they removed us. Why do you think specifically Chinese did that?
Well, if the Chinese removed me for that, it's not like I'm going to lose any sleep tonight over that, So let them do what they want to do. But we're going to have to protect ourselves in this country because there's a lot of various nefarious things going on with foreign interference in our elections.
But do you think it has anything to do with the TikTok itself? Do you think it has anything to do with that being proactive because of what you just said? because Canadian government now being proactive in terms of protecting, the masses, specifically the Canadian government from using TikTok is the communication tool to the masses. Because remember, in the previous election, what was the segment that voted in U.S. and Canada? It's the young population, right? The students that had the biggest growth in the voting segment, right? In the election segment. So let's watch this video on TikTok interference.
TikTok. As of tomorrow, the app is being removed and blocked from all federal government devices. As Rafi Boudjikanian explains, Ottawa is citing security concerns over TikTok's connection to China.
After 8 years of this Prime Minister's inflationary policies...
From the leader of the official opposition to the NDP's Jagmeet Singh and some Liberal MPs too, for years politicians have used TikTok to connect with voters. The social media platform reaches 1 billion users worldwide.
Glenn, just like your videos.
Concerns about data security and the potential for cyber attacks.
I don't think so.
App, the government of Canada is banning it on all government-issued devices beginning Tuesday.
We're making the decision that for government employees, for government equipment, better to not have them access TikTok because of the concerns that people have in
TikTok.
The move follows similar steps by the U.S. and 2 bodies of the European Union. TikTok says it is disappointed Ottawa didn't reach out to discuss its move and pointed out the government did not cite specific security concerns. It also says Canadian users...
I had enough. I mean, what's the story there, man?
Well, it looks like maybe the government got upset. The Canadian government got upset because they banned me first. So they said, well, if they can ban the G-Man, well, let's ban them from all our government devices.
Did you see? I mean, I'm not really promoting Joe Rogan here, although he does have some really good guests on the shows. And he had this piece actually on TikTok. A lot of, I don't know if you guys have our listeners, if you guys have TikTok accounts. I'm sure you had to click that box that you had to agree to terms and conditions. Did you actually read those terms? Nobody ever does. Nobody ever reads those. But Joe Rogan advised to do it. He's like one afternoon he spent the time reading it, and you're basically signing your soul when you're signing up for the TikTok, and it allows them to basically track absolutely everything, and maybe even change things in your phone, and I don't know. And maybe if you ever come to China, if you're a TikTok account holder, maybe you'll be held to, I don't know, actually, I'm making this stuff up, but Glenn,
today is a day that we could have had Anonymisses here to tell us how to sign without being, convicted of anything. But Anonymisses is anonymissing today, but she'll be back later in the week. She had things to do today, and we look forward to having her back and getting her input on what's going on in the world.
It's interesting that actually Canadian government is concerned with Chinese interfering with Canadian politics at this point in time. That's the point that is really entertaining and hypocritical. Because TikTok, whatever he was saying. Why is he doing this now? Is he covering for something else? Like, I'm being proactive with TikTok because I'm being accused now by csis. Well, I don't know would it be accusation or would it be a concern? I don't know how that works actually in this case. But going to electoral interference, right? Election interference. Now we know that csis recommended before the election to look into certain candidates that were actually like China's sleeping agents that were here put in place, and they would be sponsored by, it would be in Chinese interest for those candidates to win because they would represent the Chinese interests, not the Canadian interests. And obviously they can use things like TikTok as their tools in all those kind of interferences. Glenn, tell me about this. I know you've been reading on that story for sure. Hold on, let me open this up for you.
Just in Time by Justin Trudeau. But this time, we got you. You're too late. It's all coming out about the foreign elections. Here we go right now.
Just a second.
Ongoing probe by the Canadian Security Intelligence Service. Intelligence sources tell Global News that investigators have been tracking current Ontario Liberal MP Han Dong since the summer of 2019. And those sources say he is one of 11 Toronto area riding candidates believed to be supported by Beijing in the lead up to that year's federal election and alleged to be an affiliate in China's election interference networks. Tonight, Mackenzie Gray has the new revelations in this Global News investigation. Mackenzie.
Farah, after an 8-month investigation, intelligence sources have told Global News that current Liberal MP Han Dong is alleged to have been supported by Beijing in 2019, and the Prime Minister's senior staff were warned about it. Reliably read since 1993, scoring the Liberal nomination in Don Valley North has been harder than winning a general election recently. But instead of leaning on his connections as a former Ontario MPP, sources say Han Dong had help from the Chinese consulate in Toronto to become the 2019 Liberal candidate in the riding. Through a combination of csis documents and intelligence sources, Global News has learned the consulate allegedly sent 2 busloads of Chinese Canadian seniors to the Don Valley North Liberal nomination meeting, and those seniors knew who to vote for because Don's name was written on their arm. Sources also say csis suspected that Chinese international students with faked addresses were bussed in and told by the PRC consulate to support their preferred candidate if they wanted to maintain their student visa status. Dong denied allegations he was helped by Beijing, calling them false accusations that slander me and the community I represent. My nomination in 2019 was...
Okay, let me ask you this. Is it only different? Because 100% they do it on every election, like here in LaSalle, in Montreal, right, in District LaSalle. I'm positive that like 99.9% of immigrants will be bussed to election polls as well. And they will be actually voting Liberal as well because, you know, immigrants had a history of voting Liberal here for different reasons, right? So how's it different in Toronto area with Chinese? Other than because, oh, no, we know why it's different. We know why it's different, right? Because, you know, our dictator Trudeau likes our dictator in China. He admires him. We played that video in the last segment, right? How he admires Chinese way of doing things because he can get things done virtue of dictatorship.
Well, big man, looks like Mr. Ding Dong is done, but he is innocent till proven guilty. That's the way it's supposed to be in law. And hopefully it applies to him a lot better than it's applying to Andrew Tate right now. But yeah, there's going to be a lot more things coming out. This we're sure. And this is why the Trudeau government, he doesn't want a public inquiry into this. No, he doesn't want the people to know.
But like that's a pretty serious accusation. Like if Chinese helped to organize this, like if it was like internally organized, okay, this is my district, and like okay, I finagled a little bit, getting the people to the polling, you know, helped them with organizing the bus trip and stuff like this, and they voted for me because they, you know, including the students, because affiliation of me by virtue of me being a Chinese national or had a background as a Chinese. Okay, I accept that. I wouldn't sure if I run for politics, Russians will vote for me or not, you know, based just because I'm Russian. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But in this case, if Chinese government sponsored this in some way, right, that's a definitely interference.
Mr. Trump was warning about foreign interference in elections for a long time. So now we have foreign interference in Canada's election system. And also, just read today, I didn't know this myself actually, that the ingredients necessary to make fentanyl all comes from China, goes to the Mexican cartels, filtered through the American border with Mexico, and then works its way up into Canada, killing Canadians. Now, there's many ways to infiltrate a country, a population.
And what happens with the Chinese person in China, Chinese citizen, if they ever caught with any kind of drugs.
That's true. Yeah, they have the death penalty for drugs because they were worried about Americans putting cocaine over in China. The way the American CIA brought cocaine into America, actually.
Well, they did this. The guns for what was that? What was that trade that they did it?
Guns for butter? No. Anyways, right now we have Mr. Pierre Poilievre. Something to say
regarding the subject. Yes. Let's see.
Justin Trudeau knew about this interference, and he covered it up because he benefited from it. He is perfectly happy to let a foreign authoritarian government interfere in our elections as long as they're helping him. And according to the Globe and Mail story today, this foreign authoritarian government wanted to see Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister because they knew that he would work for their interests rather than Canada's interest. And that's why he's covered up this information for so long. As to your specific question, I believe we need a public registry of all those who do paid work on behalf of foreign authoritarian regimes to influence or manipulate our politics or government.
Well, some people will say that you and me are doing the paid work on behalf of some other authoritarian governments and stuff. That's not true. Disclaimer is we are not affiliated with any foreign power. We are Canadian and we represent interests of our fellow Canadians.
Of the Canadian people. Yes, that's the way it is.
Isn't it funny how the government always wants to investigate itself? It's like, would you say, what was the allegory?
The fox guarding the hen house.
Yeah, let's do this. Oh yeah, I'll do it, right? What the problem I see with this, like any investigation that we had recently with like Charbonneau Commission and everything else in between, and including the most recent commission on the emergency power, on the use of the emergency powers, right? Basically, government investigated itself and it determined that government had a right to implement the things, even if they were anti-democratic, anti-Canadian, anti-whatever. Of course, why would they shoot themselves in the leg? Because, and plus they increased. Did you see the fact that they, like 95% of all the federal government employees got a bonus check in the past 2 years? And of course, they're going to investigate themselves. They all got a bonus check. Why would they shoot themselves in the foot? Who's going to pay them the bonus check the next month?
How do you spell inflation?
How?
Overreach of government. Government spending more than they take in, and therefore going to the central bank to have them print more money to give to the government to pay for all their stupid programs. And now the Canadian people owe all this money back, plus interest, for money going where it's not supposed to be going, like overseas, for Ukraine, for example.
Well, how about going back to government investigating itself? How about this pick for the Chinese interference? Listen to this.
As the fox.
That's the fox. Man picked to write report on Chinese election interference ran Trudeau Foundation when big donation came in from China. Yeah, that's the fact. Let's investigate. Let me investigate myself.
Another scandal amongst so many of the scandals. The other day, I just looked at the headline for Canadian government scandals, and it came up on Wikipedia. And I was a little surprised. Ever since the late 1800s until most recent, the Trudeau government has been in power for 7.5 years, yet they've had more scandals levied against them in the past 50 years compared to the past 50 years.
Do you want to finish with this? Here, I got another piece on Global News talking about this.
Another scandal?
No, it's the one we are talking about now. Let's just listen. There are some specialists they are talking about this.
True. He says it's all false. What are your sources telling you about this member of parliament? Who is it? And does the Prime Minister's office know?
We reported that 3 weeks before the 2019 federal election, the Prime Minister's top aides were warned by CSIS in a classified briefing that this candidate, Han Dan, was part of a Chinese foreign interference network. Furthermore, he was associated to another alleged suspect, Michael Chan, a former Ontario Liberal minister. So this is a very serious classified brief to the Prime Minister's top aides, and CSIS was asking the Prime Minister's office to rescind Don's nomination. A very serious warning. They're telling the Prime Minister essentially, you have a candidate that is working for China. The allegations, our sources say, is that Mr. Don is a witting affiliate of this Chinese network that we've reported on interference in 2019 and 2021. So does the Prime Minister know? What our sources say is that the Prime Minister's top aides were warned. They ignored the warning allegedly. Mr. Don won in 2019. He's re-elected in 2021. Meanwhile, we have CSIS sourcing saying this is a concern, and he's not the only one.
Obviously, that's very concerning. I know, Kenny, to you, a lot of this doesn't come as a surprise. You have long alleged that the...
She didn't sound concerned at all. Obviously, it's very concerning. Let's get back to that. That's really some serious allegations right there. Some serious allegations.
This is a...
Well, it's not just allegations. Sorry, I'll take it back. That was not an allegation. That was a straight-up warning. This guy is a Chi-Com, 100%. Please remove his nomination. That was the recommendation. It wasn't just like, oh, we think. No, we know. That's what he just said based on the investigation. She says she transferred right away. Language is important over here, brothers and sisters. Oh, but that's allegations. No. That was a recommendation based on the factual data.
All this going on is like a chapter out of the book, The Art of War. How governments, countries come in and put a cancer into other countries, and then they take over slowly but surely. Here we're looking at now all the scandals.
Yeah, you want to... So, okay, let's go.
It's one after the other. I mean, we could spend 2 hours just going through the scandals.
Here, brothers and sisters, just go on the Wikipedia page. Look, I just pull up list of political scandals in Canada. You don't have to do anything crazy over here. Just pull this page up. And look, it lists all the scandals. It kind of goes like 1873, 1926, 1971, 1970. It kind of jumps every decade. And then you get to the 2000s, and it's kind of almost every year. And then you get to 2019. Actually, 2016, right? But for some reason, the entrance here first is 2019. Justin was elected at the end of 2015. So he got into a scandal right away in 2016. In May 18th, like 6 months after he entered. What was his first? 2016, Prime Minister Justi Trideau came into a physical contact with 2 opposition MPs. Oh, he got rough. He roughed somebody up. He grabbed somebody by the arm there, and Trudeau grabbed Conservative MP Gord Brown. Gord Brown should have smacked him right back. That would have been... we're not advocating for violence over here, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a violent show.
He simply he pulled a Rob Ford when Ford was around the government, pushing everybody around. But,
we do not advocate violence here, but you could act in a defensive manner when you're physically attacked, right? And then he elbowed somebody. I don't know. What would you do, Glenn, if Justin elbowed you?
Probably laugh. I don't know if I'd feel it, but I'd say, you okay, brother? Did you break your elbow?
Going straight to 2017, Prime Minister Justi Trideau was found to have broken 4 provisions of the Conflict of Interest Act by accepting Christmas vacation from Aga Khan on a private island. Yeah, I mean...
Kickbacks, that works all the time.
Kickback democracy. Kickback, I'm with you, right?
What about the cultural appropriation? When when he was over there in India, it looked like Mr. Dress Up over there. The Indians just disliked it so much they just. And then Trump went over a year later, and there was lineups. Everybody was loving him. He wasn't dressed like Mr. Dress Up. He was dressed like the Trump master.
It's pretty hypocritical, isn't it? For the this promoting the liberal culture values. He goes there and becomes a
what a drama queen. I wonder if he was wearing the rainbow socks underneath the uniform too.
He probably was. What else? What other scandals can we see here? Hold on.
Mr. Racist Inclusive Society. He spray painted his face all black, blackface.
He did it more than once, didn't he?
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah, that's here we go. That's Justin himself. That's his. Is it his drama day? Well, maybe he was getting the character. Maybe he was, method acting. Do you blame him for method acting?
The Canadians didn't like his hair back then, though.
Look at that one. Oh man, that's he kills two with one stone. So he's culturally appropriating a turban. So that could be whatever call. He could be seeking this, right? Aladdin or whatever.
Looks like a spray tan on steroids, actually.
Maybe he's getting ready for competition. We should ask, Jesse was mentioning that, right?
We're going to move on to the next scandal that he's involved in, or else this is turning into the comedy show here.
Right. If we can't laugh at ourselves, that's it. By the way, brothers and sisters, when we are laughing at ourselves, that's the only way we can react here in Canada, because we don't have any other repercussions. And technically, us laughing at our prime minister, he is our prime minister. He's our representative.
He's not my prime minister.
Well, that's not what I meant in that sense.
That's a fake.
That's a fake.
I don't have a king. Sorry. Next thing was the SNC Lavalin affair. That was a big one.
That's a big one.
He got rid of his attorney general, Jody Wilson-Raybould, and that was a good woman. She was a Canadian patriot. That was a good lady.
He, what was the Liberal Party for pending 5 years, ending to... Employees made contributions totaling over $110,000 to the party, which were later reimbursed by the company, actions which were prohibited. I don't even know what it means. So there was, again, it's kickback, I'm with you kind of thing,
That's right, just kickbacks. And by the way, SNC Lavalin is still in business today, actually doing very well. So we'll sweep it underneath the table and under the rug, and then throw the rug out, and then nobody will know.
Let's investigate ourselves, right? Is that what it is?
What about the We Charity?
What about it?
Another kickback. They're supposed to be a raising money, a foundation, and we find that the people talking in the foundation, they all were the relatives of the Trudeau family, his mother, his wife.
Where is that? That was 20.
We Charity at the bottom with the, and Bill Morneau.
Yeah, that was 2020. It wasn't even long ago. We charity to run the long promised 912 million Canada Student Service Grant.
The report exonerated Trudeau, but also found that Finance Minister Bill Morneau had given the WE preferential treatment by permitting his ministerial staff to disproportionately assist it when it sought federal funding. By the way, newsflash, Bill Morneau is also a member of the World Economic Forum. So not only do you have foreign countries like China infiltrating Canada and affecting the politics and the running of the government, but you also have non-government organizations like the World Economic Forum who have all their people in key positions in Canada. So Canadians are going to have to wake up to really realize who is running the country and who are you being a servant to.
Language is important here. You notice how they don't say non-governmental organizations, right? Instead, they don't really say that. They say what? NGOs, because NGO doesn't really mean anything. It's just an acronym. It's just a collection of letters. But when you spell it out, then it starts to sound undemocratic, right? Non-governmental agency running the organization. That's why we really should call things what they really are by the name. What else we got here? The
RCMP investigation interference, the mass shooting in Nova Scotia.
Oh, they didn't say mass shooting. They say mass casualty.
Well, that's casualties usually happen after a mass shooting, but it's a nice play on words, don't you think?
Well, I'm going back to my original statement a minute ago. Language is important here. Why do you think they're using mass casualty versus mass shooting here?
Minimize the effect of it, mix people up some more.
Well, because then they screwed up big time. It could have been prevented. So if instead of saying like Canadian government or the RCMP screwed up, and as a result there was a mass shooting, they minimized it by saying mass casualty, right? Could that be it?
Could be, but it also cost the RCMP commissioner, Brenda Lookie, her job. She decided to step down after that because, well, things were getting too hot on the hot seat. So
Well,
she decided to change seats, go somewhere else.
But also that means she would have to investigate herself if she doesn't step down, right?
Foxy.
I just noticed something here on the. Hold on, I'll show you guys. In 2019, on 18 September 2019, during the federal election, images were published Time magazine of Prime Minister Trudeau wearing the brown face makeup. Notice how again they changed the wording. It's not brown face. It's a commonly known term as a blackface. Why is the Wikipedia again minimizing the term by calling it brown face? No. He wore a blackface. We just showed you the pictures. His face looked black. That was not brown. What is that? Again, they trying to cover up for him. And what's the most recent one? The 2022.
Right at the bottom with the ArriveCan app.
Oh, yes.
This whole thing during the CV-19 scamdemic, pandemic, whatever you want to call, this was ridiculous. And the ArriveCan, how much it cost and how horrible it was working, and screwed up all the lining up at the airports and the borders, and people didn't know what to do, and what a ridiculous thing. And then there was people coming out saying they could have did the same app for like 1/10 the price, and it would have been even better.
Like, so what did it say? Like, they called it like you can do it for 200 grand or something, right? Or maybe even cheaper. Maybe
30
like,
grand.
30 grand. Oh, sorry, 30 grand.
30
Yeah.
grand is still a lot of money for some, done right. But when the government spends other people's money, well, that's nothing. So let's bring it up.
How much did they spend? 54 million.
250 million.
23 separate subcontractors. And you wonder, does the government ever going to investigate itself? I doubt it.
Let's face it, government is getting way too big. The cost of government is what's causing the inflation. And government, they're not very good at running business. They shouldn't be in business. They should just be there to make sure that the laws and the freedoms apply to everybody. But what they're in the business of hospitals, or in the business of the education system, medical system, education system, and they're doing a horrible job at it because they just keep spending other people's money. They're not business people. They're usually failed lawyers or Trudeau, which Mr. Puppet Muppet.
Oh, we'll get. Don't they? Isn't it they're saying like those who can't do, those who can't teach, those who can't teach join the government, right? Is that what the story? They couldn't even be good teachers. So right, of course, it's easy to write a unlimited check when you have an unlimited budget in terms of the printing money, because it's no longer now we're aware we don't have a budget, we have a printing press. Did you see that video from a few days ago from the Support Ukraine rally? This is the first time I heard him without stuttering.
This is a rehearsed thing, okay? He was on point here. I think he was going for an Academy Award. Here it comes.
Here, let's watch this. This is his best. This is Justin Trudeau's best theater work. Here.
A year ago today, Ukrainians woke up to the horror of war in their... Hey, sir, I think Ukrainians can tell you a little bit about freedom and liberty, so why don't you settle down?
Looking in the camera when he's saying
that.
that.
For you. This is a night for Ukrainians, not for you. If you want to stand and cheer with Ukraine, do that. You want to wave that Ukrainian flag, please do. but let people celebrate that Ukraine is still standing and Canada stands with it.
He's too much.
Not enough. Not
He's
enough.
too much.
But yeah, that's the first time I ever hear him not stutter. That is definitely 100% prepared, unless he felt really emotional about the subject matter. I don't think he does, because we heard him just in the last segment when he was, our support for Ukraine will be as long as it will require us to send more, whatever. So that's, he talked about exact same subject in this one, but he felt emotionally involved. No, he wasn't. He rehearsed it. You're right. You can see it in his eyes. Like, it's like he's not a really good angry person. He only gets angry when he's accused in being Chinese dictator, because he's, I don't know, it's some kind of defensive mechanism. But he has something to be upset about, as I am. I mean, our economy. Glenn, what's up?
Now we're seeing big government, cost of big government, and splashing around fake fiat currency everywhere. Prices of everything are going up, and Canadians are feeling it. And it's not just at that level, even at higher levels. You have the Caisse de Dépôt, which is an investment group with over $400 billion of investable assets. They're showing the biggest loss since the 2008 financial crisis. This next financial crisis is going to make 2008 look like a perp walk. This is nothing compared to what's coming. The case is a pension. They invest for the Quebec pension plan and the insurance programs. So it looks like, if they're not doing well and they're losing money, well, we know this is all a giant Ponzi scheme. Pensions only keep functioning when you have more people paying in than people cashing out. But now with an aging demographic and the economy turning over, it looks like these Ponzi schemes are going to get exposed for what they really are.
Did you see Legault at the press conference said, well, we have a mechanism, the tool now that we inject here into our economy. You can pull out portion of your pension at 62, but with a great penalty, and he advised against it. Well, of course he advised against it. It's just like so the government trying to work like, function like a bank. So the government has your money, your pension money. That's your money. You earned it. They hold on to it. You think they just like kind of put it in a bank and they hold it on for your retirement? No, they try to flip it. They invested like that, they invest into those foundations and stuff, and hopefully they'll make smart investments and there's no kickback, I'm with you kind of democracy stuff. And you rely on those people making smart decisions and invest into Bitcoin or something. I'm being sarcastic, but
Again.
but the point I was trying to make, if you can't pull out your money, do it, because they only lose in while. By the way, brothers and sisters, when you like can't cash your check, like let's say you deposited a check, you got a check from your employee contract, etc. You got a check for 10 grand, and they tell you, well, we got to clear it, even if it comes from the same bank branch, for example, or from the bank branch that you're dealing with, and it's not the first time you cash in this check. You got to go to your branch manager, and then that branch manager got to go to his manager to get approval to release some of the money before 10 days, 5 days, whatever your bank has. You know why? Because while they hold on to your check, the money gets transferred instantly. Like, we have the system in place where the money, the moment the funds you place the check, the funds within 24 hours or less, and that money is actually being used. They're collecting interest on that money. They reinvested, investing, whatever. They hold the value, and that's why they don't want to release that check to you earlier than they're supposed to, and they're going to hold on to it as long as they have to. That's so. This is, I think, the thing with the pension money. Don't hold on. Get your money right away, because money have no value, right, Glenn? Like if they just drop it in terms of against the inflation, whatever money you have accumulated in your pension, they're not worth just sitting there. Take your money and invest it yourself.
Yeah, good luck getting it or having it hold its purchasing power when you finally really need it. Speaking of inflation of fiat currencies, hundreds out for the coldest night of the year fundraising event in Kitchener. By the way, this was in many smaller cities, Kitchener, Nanaimo, Quint, Orillia. It's what it is it's a fundraiser. People go out and they walk outside in the middle of winter and they spend a lot of time out there, and it just gives them a little impression of what it's like to be homeless in a cold Canadian winter. Here you have the government splashing money around like it's nothing, and you have people in Canada who are living homeless, who are having hard time to find food. The food banks don't have enough food to supply the food to the poor people. This is not going to end very well. Things are going to get a lot tougher, and you could see a lot of civil unrest developing after this. You know, not having shelter, not having food. These are necessities. These aren't, these are needs, not just wants.
I know, but can we send more money to some other foreign countries for their democracies? And how about even here? How much money did he donate to the gay and lesbian alliances or whatever? I don't even know, LGBTQ causes and everything else. What would be more prioritized? People going hungry and freezing to death? Or let's worry about their sexual orientation?
Shelter, food, and energies. These are your needs, your necessities. After that, it's all wants. That's extra. That's gravy. Let's make sure in a first world country, supposedly a rich country like Canada, all the needs are met first of its Canadian citizens before we start splashing the money around for frivolous stuff.
As we mentioned in the last show that we have, in Montreal alone, we have almost 700,000 people. What's the population of Montreal? 2.5 maximum? And we have 1/3 of population.
1/4. Yeah, it's 1/4 of it's like 24% of the population.
Starving.
Food insecurities. A little hungry. Let's cover the basics first, please. These are the necessities. This is what keeps you sustained.
What if you want to get your Burger King right away?
Oh, your burger. Here we go. Manitoba RCMP have beef with women who called 911 to complain about long Burger King lineup. Even the Karens go into the Burger King lineups. And this is a big issue for some people. Really? I mean, when things get really, really rough and your way of life starts getting taken away from you, complaining about a lineup at a Burger King won't be one of your big problems. I guarantee it.
I'm looking at this tweet. Yesterday, RCMP received a 911 call from a woman. Why would she call RCMP, though, not police? In the Steinbach, who was angry about the long drive-through line at the new Burger King. We realize you ain't you when you are hungry, but this is not valid reason to dial 911. Well, it's clearly not a dial. Well, but she was hungry, man. Like you said, it's necessities. Food is necessity. Like, oh my God, it's getting too long. I don't know. I'm looking at this picture of a burger of the Burger King. When was the last time you had a Burger King, Glenn?
I don't eat junk food restaurants. Not my style. But I mean, soon people are going to be phoning 911 because the prices of the Burger King are going to be too high. Help me out. This is not right,
Well, that's why we have the 700 people are starving. 700,000, sorry.
Lake Country man sentenced to only 7 years in jail for repeatedly raping a 6-year-old. No. When you've done that, first of all, you've affected this child for the rest of their life in a negative way, a horrible way, okay? So when you're convicted of something like that, it's time to bring back the death penalty. You talk to a lot of people, and they say, oh, we should torture him, we should, cut him up, and no. That would be just as bad as what he's doing. What we should do is just, quietly, put him to sleep, because he's never going to get better. He's caused too much harm on the planet. He shouldn't be allowed to be with us. And then even to take a person like that and put him in the prison sentence, it costs us a lot of money. So what for? What, who are we appeasing here? The neo-libs?
Well, it's been going on for a long time. There was some kind of domestic rights situation. This person had access to a victim by virtue of being in a partnership, I guess, with the mother. It's disgusting. It's just filthy. I don't even want to read.
We don't want to hear the excuses.
Yeah,
we just want to see action. Okay, we saw enough. It's been going on too long. There's enough excuses. We don't want to listen to the clinical psychologists saying, "Oh, you have to try and understand their point of view." Really? How could you understand that point of view? Okay, like no, just get rid of the guy. History here. I'll do it. I'll give him the spike here. Sleep well, brother.
How do you think like the recent lockdowns and people being stuck together and those those perpetrators, those sick people, like how much of that actually happened? That statistic is also available. I forgot. There was something like domestic violence / like domestic abuse went up like enormous amount, and I blame the government.
But it's just stupid bullying. Blaming other people for you not feeling comfortable and your anxiety and your stress. Oh, it's the other person's fault. No, that's just a form of bullying. Speaking of bullying, police seek 4 men after woman robbed outside of a Walmart. Really? 4 men? I petition that we change the dictionary meaning of the word men. These things are more like 4 two-legged pieces of crap, to say it nicely, walking around. I mean, 4 men stealing from a woman. Really, guys? Why don't you just get a job? There's jobs everywhere.
By the way, right? How do they describe it as men? How do they know it's men? What if they identified as women? Or like a couch?
Yeah, it could be a they, them.
They, them. Like, yeah, how dare they? That's so racist of them. And I also notice how they use just men. How not progressive of them. By the way, it's also when they don't say like ethnicity of a person, a man, it's usually not a white person. I'm not trying to be here racist or not racist, but usually in the legacy media, when they use identity of the man, they'll say white man, just to amplify the fact that white man is the abuser and the aggressor in our society, right? So it's probably not a white man. Again, I'm not to generalize here. I'm not trying to be racist or anything like this.
Big man, there's one race. It's the human race, okay? Made of 2 genders.
Yeah.
Let's not confuse things. The way nature intended. Very simple. These are the laws of nature, and that's it. So, but what it is you get certain people who are bullies, or they travel in packs, picking on the people who are defenseless. Where are the modern day heroes when this stuff is going on? What are they doing? They pull out the cell phone? The thumb pumpers pull out their cell phone and they just get it on video? Why don't you start helping these people so this stuff that doesn't happen anymore, or happens a lot less anyways?
Well, I would say real men like go to the gym and do podcasts.
Look at this fellow they're looking for right now. He's escaped from some penitentiary somewhere. I mean, the federal institution called. They want their clown back. Look. I mean, guy, he's 5'5", 110 pounds. Obviously, he's not well. I mean, you can't judge a book by its cover, but that's one hell of a book. Let me tell you.
What's written on his face? Well, I see, ha ha ha. He's laughing at him. Is he laughing at himself, or is he laughing at you?
That's getting close to a blackface. Him and Justin would have a competition together.
Now you're being racialist.
I mean, too many psychedelics for you, brother. I mean,
Or maybe not enough. Or maybe not enough.
You want some milk for your Fruit Loops?
No, I think there's some. If you have to really, if you're asking that much for attention, if you're really craving that much attention, that you're gonna basically alter your face for the rest of your life. Because can you remove tattoos like this?
Sure, but whatever it costs them to get the tattoos is probably going to cost
10
them
times more.
Yeah, but it'll be worth it. Money well spent.
Yeah. Speaking of psychedelics,
it may help people reinvent themselves.
Well, it does have medicinal purposes. Let's say I have a experience with microdosing mushrooms, and I went through some stuff that was it was very grueling and psychologically demanding to deal with. And and I'm not into anything. I don't take any drugs. I don't even drink coffee or black or green tea, even no stimulants. But I was recommended to maybe microdose because it helps to rewire the narrow network in your brain, right? It helps you basically start thinking differently and helping you with recalling different things. It actually basically help you to relax in a way. Now, in a way, I had zero effect in terms of, I don't know if you guys tried it, and I can't recommend, talk to your therapist, talk to your doctor about it. But my therapist recommended, and zero effect, no hallucinogenic side effects, didn't get high, didn't feel anything. As a matter of fact, went functioning throughout the day as normal. But within a few weeks, I noticed a difference. Now, it could have been a placebo effect and just other things that I was doing, like, disciplining myself in a very proper way, which is a number one foundation for your psychological and mental stability, right? Is a discipline at the core. I don't know if both of them had something to do with it, just a coincidence, or if it did really help. But in my case, it did. But I don't know, Glenn. What's your opinion on this?
Brother, drugs, alcohol, hallucinants, psychedelics. I mean, what about the good old ways of discipline, willpower, goal setting, positive thinking, positive doing? Put skin in the game. Get it done.
Go to the gym.
Yeah, go to the gym. Then it changes the way you train. You start feeling better. Yeah, it changes the way you eat. You sleep better. Anxiety levels go down. It's the real solution. But the psychedelics, that seems to be the pharmaceutical companies throwing out a little balloon, a trial balloon. Speaking of balloons, we just had the Chinese balloons over here, but no, I'm talking about a different type of trial balloon, and let's see if we can get a big market for this going. So I have my reservations about things like that. Maybe we should just go back to the old, not the old way, but the proven way.
Is it possible that psychedelics actually start to become more popular, and they just trying to capitalize, like you said, pharmaceuticals trying to capitalize on that?
People are used to doing what's easy, not what's right. Okay, They shouldn't evaluate something whether it's hard or easy. They shouldn't evaluate it whether it's right or wrong, and just do the right thing. That's it. So what? It takes a little bit more effort. It'll test you, and it'll increase your resolve when you win, when you succeed.
It takes effort to go to the gym. The positive thing about going to the gym is what?
Is for men. I mean, everybody wants to stay in shape, but I'm talking from a man's point of view, obviously. Lifting heavy objects, barbells, dumbbells, machines, it seems to have an effect on your sperm counts, and your testosterone levels stay elevated. That's what's lacking in the Western culture today. The men have it too easy, and they're doing stuff that doesn't jobs that doesn't require any lifting, any physical work, and so they're really being emasculated, which is part of the big agenda, by the way. So if you have to do that type of job for revenue for yourself, all to you. But on your free time, let's go to the gym. Let's start doing something physical too. You're not a one-dimensional being, you know.
Oh, well, they have to have Harvard investigate this. I mean, it's pretty common sense to me, right? The idea that you lift, your testosterone increases, but most people are not actually even aware of this. And it's like you said, they take the easy way out. You know, you can go like to your doctor and say, "Oh, I'm low on my testosterone levels. My sex life is affected. Either prescribe me the Viagra or, you know, straight up let me take the testosterone." When they're not even aware, but it goes back to discipline. You have to discipline yourself to go to the gym. You can't, like you said, you can't get motivated to go to the gym till you actually go to the gym and you feel the results. You feel results in your body, you feel results in your psychic, you feel mental results, you feel results in your sex life at home or with your girlfriend, etc. Right?
Speaking about sex life and testosterone, yesterday I was watching a video of Jordan Peterson. I know I ripped him for crying at the end of his videos, but that's just the one bad thing that I'm sure he's going to change. But he does offer a lot of good advice and direction for men, young men in general, but men. And one of the things he was talking about was how AI and the linguistics chat GPT is going to render the OnlyFans relatively useless. Whereas guys are going to be making a connection, shall we say, with this bot that's going to remember everything about him, and through conversing back and forth, the bot will find similarities. Now that's the first stage in actual physical, a man having a connection with a bot. Then it's going to go on to the next stage, which is they're going to create the physical perfection that this guy is looking for. And eventually they're actually going to fall in love with the perception of a being. So all those girls on OnlyFans, you know, with all the makeup, the fake up, the bubble lips, the fake, you know what I'm saying? If you can see this on the video, they're going to be rendered obsolete, believe it or not. And this is going to be the next phase of stupidity that's going to be arising in the so-called advancements of humanity.
What was that show, Carbon, on a Netflix show here, filmed in Vancouver? Carbon. They were basically insinuating that that's the future. And well, they have, you know, like predictive programming. They have admitted that, or they told us that that's actually our future. You'll just stay at home and I think 15-minute cities, that's like a first step. They don't actually want you to go anywhere. And that's like the close again to Matrix, where you're just a battery of some sort, right? For the Matrix itself.
Speaking of just staying at home, there's some people who are just staying in jail for something that they've never done. You know, I don't, we're talking about Andrew Tate, how he's in a Romanian prison and he hasn't even been charged with anything yet. And yet it's going to be going into his third month that he's there. And, you know, he has two citizenships. He's got an American citizenship and a British citizenship. Well, where is the governments of America and England trying to get this guy out of there? He's not supposed to be in jail.
Oh, he's not progressive enough. He doesn't have the proper pronouns.
Oh, no. Well, yeah, they do everything they can to bring out Brittany Griner from Russia, who was convicted. She had drugs on her and everything. So here's a guy in jail, and he hasn't even done anything yet.
So see, if he played basketball for the female team, maybe they would have got him out.
Selective.
Well, that's the agenda. They're trying to make the point as well. And by the way, that's what if you listen to if you remember just last week when Putin had his speech, that's one thing he said. That's the Western values is one of the things that they are opposing with the action. Like they don't want those Western values sort of projected onto the rest of the world. They don't want this.
I would inject the Western lack of values would be more appropriate. Lack of moral values. As a society, we have declined exponentially. But soon, we're going to come back up again. We're going to find our way. The good always wins.
And again, the point that we made last week is that's why God is being removed from the Western society, because it's the authority to look up to other than the government. And what do you think we get the moral authority from? The government, like you said, Glenn, is the organization that gives you other than moral authority. They gives you lack of morals here. Like here, you can be whatever you want to be. Yeah, you can. But, that's not something we want to practice here.
Canadian people and American people should be looking down at their government. They should be ashamed of themselves for allowing this to happen. 50 years from now, Canadians and Americans will look back and said, wow, those people must have been really asleep. They were lulled to sleep, and the governments were allowed to do anything they want right underneath their noses. I'm looking forward to have Anonymisses back sitting in front of me.
On Friday, yes. Tune in on Friday for a new update for Roundtable, next Roundtable. And thank you for tuning in, brothers and sisters. We'll see you on the next one.